What's up, everybody? This is Steve, aka the Joker 5150, here with the Horoscope 101 once again. And this particular week is week one of a two-part or a two-week series. This week we're covering the best of independent horror, and next week we'll be covering the worst of independent horror. And so for this particular week, I picked for the best of independent horror because at the time when this film came out, it was an independent film. I picked the first, or the original, Paranormal Activity. Now, just before filming this, the wife and I rewatched this film again, and we just really enjoy the hell out of it. Possibly, and I won't get into it because it's just something that I don't really want to talk about, especially, for a movie review. Maybe in a separate video somehow or something. But anyway, the wife and I have experienced some paranormal stuff ourselves, and that's no joke. Sometimes I get on here and I kid or I joke or whatever. That's not a joke. I'm being 100% serious and 100% truthful. We've dealt with some paranormal stuff in our lives, and yeah, so maybe that's what draws us to this particular film or this particular type of film. I want to say right off the bat, this is not a ghost story. For those that have know nothing really about it, it's not a ghost story. It's actually about an entity or a demon. That's the antagonist, I guess that's the word. That's the antagonist of this film. So it's not like, it's not a haunting where, like there's ghosts and stuff like that. That's not it. It's a demonic entity. And basically it centers around, this particular film centers around two people, Mika and Katie. And they're like boyfriend, girlfriend, and she decides to move in with Mika. It's Mika's place. She decides to move in with him and, try to start a life together. And some things happen around her that are of the paranormal nature. And so the whole purpose of the camera in this film is Mika wants to try to get, any kind of experiences that happen in the house on record. Hence, that's why you have the camera. And come to find out, this isn't the first time that this has happened to Katie. She's had several problems in the past, like from her childhood into her teenage years and now into adulthood, where she's had some paranormal things happen to her. And so Mika's solution is to film everything that they can, set up the camera at night, put on night vision, things like that, try to capture what's going on in the house, and maybe they can then take this, if they could get any kind of evidence at all, take it to the experts or whatever and try to figure out how to stop this thing. So most of the events of the paranormal stuff happens in the middle of the night when Katie and Mika are asleep. Eventually, as the movie goes along, things start happening even when they're awake, and pretty much like any type of a film, things kind of start out little noises here, little noises there. Then evidence starts showing up in the camera, like moving doors and audible sounds, like what sounds like heavy footsteps, things like that. And as the film goes on, things start escalating, like bigger and worse things happening. They try to get the advice of a psychic, and he gives them the name of a demonologist, that might be able to help their situation. Things like that. Mika believes Katie and what she says, but he's not really taking it too serious until things start getting worse. Then he starts taking things more serious. And there's also tension between Katie and Mika as things go on. She's, gets more and more upset and more tense. She doesn't feel that, he's supporting her in the way that he should. And so there's friction between them as the movie goes on. And eventually it comes to a fatal conclusion. I don't want to give anything away to people that haven't seen it. So yeah, it just keeps building and building and building until finally something drastic happens. And that's pretty much the end of the film. I definitely advise you to see it. If you don't see any of the others, definitely see this one. I will say, as far as the other films go, more of the backstory happens to try to give like the audience more insight as to why this stuff is going on, and they're pretty good on their own. But like I said, if you haven't seen, or if you don't see any of the rest of them, definitely see the first one, because to me it's the best one. Now I wanted to mention, in this particular, in the theatrical version, it ends on a certain way. Then there was an alternate version, which is on the DVD, that ends in a completely different way. Hopefully I'm saying this guy's name right, because it's a foreign name, and you know, sometimes I have problems pronouncing American names, much less foreign name. But the guy that created this, directed it, I think it's pronounced Oren Peli, or Peli, O-R-E-N, and then the last name is P-E-L-I. Sorry for butchering that if I did. Hopefully I didn't. He pretty much financed this film himself. It's actually shot in his house. So therefore, you know, he doesn't have to pay for location expenses and things like that. But yeah, it's filmed in his house. I think what they did with the film, it's extremely creative and extremely awesome for it being a low-budget independent film. As a matter of fact, it was filmed, I can't remember exactly when it was filmed, but for well over a year before it actually got put out in theaters. And there was actually an internet campaign to get a bunch of people to like try to sign an online petition, and if they got like, I think it was 1 million signatures or something, then Paramount would put it out in theaters if they thought that there was going to be an audience there to see it. And that was a very successful campaign, and it wound up getting put in theaters, and then therefore, you know, it made a lot of money, and then plus also 3 sequels so far. I really enjoy this film. My wife enjoys it. We enjoy all the sequels. I highly advise you guys to check it out. It's definitely the first film, at least. Like I said, this film isn't for everybody. There's some people that hate it, and there's some people that love it. I think that anybody that has ever experienced any kind of paranormal activity, seriously, no pun intended, because, you know, that's the name of the film, Paranormal Activity. Anybody that's ever experienced any kind of haunting or any kind of paranormal stuff, I think they'll really enjoy it. I think why some people, and this is just my opinion, I think why some people don't like it so well is because there's a lot of time in the film where nothing's happening. But if you think about it, in real life experiences, paranormal stuff's not happening like every 5 minutes. You could go days without anything happening, or things could only happen like at certain times of day. You know, so basically what I'm trying to get at is this: the film is trying to go along like a reality-based timeline. Meaning it's kind of like Blair Witch, where it's supposed to be like found footage. So, you know, if it's imitating what people experience in real life, then you're not going to have paranormal stuff happening every 5 minutes. And sometimes with moviegoers, that's what they expect. They expect something to, you know, just keep going and keep going and keep going. And that's not the way it is in real life. People don't have like a dish fly off the wall, and then a window breaks, and then a candle moves, a TV turns on. You know, stuff's not happening all the time. So I think that's why some people don't like it, is because there's a lot of what they would consider dead air, dead time. I consider it character building, because, you know, things happen to them, and then they go back and they catch it on the film, and they talk about it, and there's conversation. There's a lot of talk. It's a very dialogue-driven film. So it's my opinion. Maybe that's why a lot of people don't like it. I don't know. I absolutely love it. But then again, like I said, I've had some paranormal stuff happen to me. So maybe that's why I'm drawn to this film. But I'd highly advise anybody to give it a chance. Even if they saw the commercials and just, you know, I don't know if that's for me. Give it a shot. You know, it might surprise you. But anyway, that is my review for this week for the best of independent horror. I will catch you guys next week. What I plan on doing for the worst of independent horror, I plan on covering the first Bloody Murder movie. Karate Popcorn just did for Camp Week. She did Bloody Murder 2. So if you caught that and were interested in that, check out my video next week for the first one, Bloody Murder. Catch everybody else's videos this week for the best of independent horror. I can't wait to see what everybody else has to say and what they review. Catch you guys next week. Until then, try to watch something scary this week. I will catch you later. And if you can't be good, be bad.